Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light this shit up. Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light this shit up.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to What If Deku Had Hanma DNA Part 2. Anyway, as you can see in the title, I said there was an announcement. And the announcement is, I am thinking about quitting YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. And before you say, oh no, it's because, basically, how do I put this? When you put a bunch of effort into something, yeah, and it doesn't work out, okay, yeah, you stop and you try again. You stop, but then after that happens like 2 or 3 or 4 times, you start getting, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, it clearly ain't working out. But when this happens to 10 to 20 times, you're starting to think, maybe this is a sign. And then when it reaches that 30, if you haven't stopped by then, you're just stupid. I've reached that 30 with this YouTube. I'm putting effort into this. I'm staying up to 2 or 3 a.m. not getting any sleep and then going to school knackered to film YouTube videos. And to be fair, I didn't last week because that was my half term, and that was me deciding whether or not I actually wanted to do YouTube, and I'm stuck in the middle. Basically what it is, YouTube isn't really working out for me. Everything is going down, my watch time, my views, literally every single thing, and it's just literally just become humiliating at this point. Our family asked me how's it going, and I'm ashamed to say, oh no, it's not doing that good. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. Other than that, let's get into the video. I'm just going to see how it goes over the next like week or two. If that's the same results again and again and again, unfortunately, I'm just not going to be doing any more YouTube. I'm going to give one more series a shot. I'll finish this, like my What If Naruto series, like his Shadow Clone one. And I'll create a new one. I'll do like an oldie where it's just an idea meant to be stupid, like stupidly broken. And if that don't work, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say goodbye to YouTube, guys. Nothing against you guys, it's just what I'm gonna have to do personally. Anyway, other than that, let's jump straight into this because we left this on a big cliffhanger and I disappeared for a week. When we left off, Deku was just sitting in an interrogation room, waiting for his mother to come and get him after he beat that absolute... Also, I'm a curse a bit, I'm getting bored. After beating that absolute shit out of Bakugo. And I mean, he messed him up. And when I say swearing, I'm not going to be saying it every few seconds. I mean, like, on proper good scenes, because if I get demonetized at this show. That's just YouTube doing me. Never son, you should not be doing YouTube. I just want you to understand that it is not for you. Anyway, back into the What If. Deku pummeled Bakugo, like, he beat him about, like, how can I put this into perspective? You know, imagine Mike Tyson, yeah, versus someone in a wheelchair. That is how it was like. And afterwards, he got arrested, blah blah blah. But after multiple statements saying that Baku was the one who started the fight and actually launched an explosion at Deku, he was let off. But Deku's sitting in this interrogation room waiting for his mother for the second time of the day. I've said that too many times. And a purple portal opens up in front of him. And a man with red hair, yes, I decided to make it red, walks out wearing a weird mask, a purple mask. And Deku can sense his aura. Like, Deku has an ability, he can sense when someone is actually strong and good at fighting. And he sensed the aura similar to his. And the only words that popped into his mind when he saw him was, Dad, and that's what he said. Hearing this masked man starts laughing. So you are like me. How could you recognise me, son? Is it my hair? Is it my face? No, you can't even see my face. I get it. You can sense my ability as a fighter. Deku, for the first time in his life, he's afraid. This person in front of him, it's like Deku was a bug, and this person in front of him was a fire-breathing dragon. But Deku quickly snaps out of this, and all the times he remembers his mum crying over his dad not being there. And he goes, you bastard, After all these years, you want to come here now? And he jumps up. Even though his legs are shaking, he's ready to fight. Seeing this masked man smiles. And he says, first off, my name's Yujiro Hanma. And you are my son. And if you're asking why I left, it's because I have priorities. Yes, you might be one of the top, but you're not at the top. My top was to change the society we live in today. But before you can even get done with the speech, Deku says, shut your mouth. I don't think you come here to give me a lecture or to tell me, oh, you missed me. You're here to test me out. I can sense it. I'm just going to call him Yujiro now. Yujiro smiles and says, you really are my son. Just get one thing clear. I didn't leave you by choice. Deku doesn't care. He lunged at his father and sends a roundhouse at him. Yujiro blocks it and lunges his fist forward, grabbing Deku by his face and spinning him round and chucking him into the wall. Deku thinks, damn it, if he makes that much noise, people are going to come in. And Yujiro says, don't worry about people coming in. I have multiple quirks, you see. I've sealed off the sound and I've buffed out the security cameras. They only saw me enter. They didn't see what this is about to happen. I don't want to embarrass you. Deku says, well, you see, you might want to let them see you pummel me a bit so they don't get too suspicious. Yujiro agrees and he lets the security cameras work a bit. Deku now is getting a sense of how strong his father actually is, knows that he can't hold back. And if you read the manga, you know there's this person in Baki named Pickle, and he can manipulate his joint at will to enter this like fight mode. Deku enters this mode, and it actually surprises Yujiro as this isn't even something he's attempting to do. I'd say with this, Deku's speed and strength to multiply by 10 minimum. But Yujiro wasn't expecting this increase, and Deku lunging at full speed actually caught Yujiro by surprise, and a punch landed on Yujiro's face. Deku was actually stunned. It felt like he just punched a brick wall. It didn't go nowhere. But he knew that this done some sort of damage. And so he leans backwards, placing his feet onto his father, and with full power kicking into his chest. Yujiro actually nearly stumbled back a bit. He just leant back. He didn't even stumble, but he automatically launches himself forward. Deku then lands with his joints readjusting as he can't keep them out for too long because he wants their joints dislocated for too long. And he's laughing, saying, impressive, I did not expect this at all. I expected you to get like maybe a touch of my clothes. I didn't expect you to manage to hit my skin. And Deku laughs. Stop saying Baki, you stupid. Ouch. And Baki laughs, saying, I didn't just do that. You seem to be bleeding. Hearing this, Yujiro automatically wakes up and he feels his nose and seeing there's a dot of blood. He starts laughing like a maniac. Normally when people find out they start bleeding, they're pissed. But nah, not Yujiro. He's thinking, you really are my son. This is 10, no 100, no 1,000 times better than I thought you'd be. I'm excited for what the future holds. But at the same time, Yujiro's hair rises. He says, I can't just let you off with drawing blood from me. And Yujiro picks up his fist. Veins start bulging in his hand, and a stark lightning sort of thing covers his hand. Deku's confused and says, what? I thought your quirk would have been similar to mine. You have a lightning quirk? Yujiro says, so that's what you thought your quirk was. I'm going to enlighten you. I have 2 quirks. One I was born with, and one that I stole from winning a fight. I won a fight with the strongest person alive, and when he died, his quirk ended me, and it became mine, but I rarely use it. But the real purpose of your quirk is not being strong. It's being able to adapt and overcome. Basically, your body wants to be the strongest, even if that's not your desire. And to do that, your body is always adapting and it's always getting revenge, basically. Us Hanmas, we're spiteful creatures. And whatever happens, we are going to come back stronger. And such. Maybe I'll give you an example now. He sprays lightning all over Deku's body. And Deku, screaming, burns every pain on his body and he's dropped down to his knees, just overwhelmed with pain. But even through all of this, he hasn't broke eye contact with his father. As he's down on his knee, Yujiro can just sense the ferocity coming from Deku, the urge to kill him, and he's overjoyed by this. He has a strong fight ahead of him. But Deku is now crumbled down over this unbearable pain. He's in his own mind, saying, really Izuku? This is the best you can do. All your life training. Probably for this moment. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to beat this lightning. A bit of lightning can beat you. What is this? Do you really think you can be the #1 hero with this weakness? Do you really think that you can protect your mother with this weakness? No. Do what you always do best and get stronger than it. Deku's muscles contract and tensing his entire body, he's managing to bear the pain. As if he's telling his muscles, don't you dare. And this fetal position that he was down on his knees, he slowly rises up, impressing his father. This isn't what he expected. He expected his son to pass out. But even better this way. Deku stands up, and the lightning that's surrounding his body soon stops hurting him, and straight away empowers him. He finally understands. Deku is finally at peace with himself. Not like that. But all the moments where the urge to train, the urge to get stronger, it stopped for a second. And he feels the lightning course through his veins. And he looks up at his father. His father recognises that look. All of Deku, the whiteness of Deku's eyes is blacked out. And his eyes are now glowing green. He launches his hands forward and sends lightning back at his father. This doesn't affect Yujiro at all, but it's finally worked. Deku finally knows what it is. His body just is spiteful. Anything that it has to endure, it's going to give back tenfold. And if that means he's constantly barraged by a quirk, he's going to be able to give that quirk back. But this doesn't feel natural to Deku. He's always thought of his hands, his own strength, and that's what he's going to stick with. But for this one moment, he's going to use what his daddy gave him. He surrounds himself in electricity as if he knew how to do this his entire life, and launched himself at full speed. All his strength into this one punch, and he launches it at Yujiro. Yujiro actually blocks this punch, as it's not like it was before. This punch has power behind it. And the portal behind him opens up. And with the biggest smile on his face, he's actually thrown back. He's chucked off the ground by the force of his son's punch. And he's sent back through the portal. The portal closes. The security guards who just managed to see this now are rushing in. And Deku's body still covered in burns, she collapses. He wakes up in hospital with All Might and his mother next to him. One second, guys. And he's told about this and about that and about One for All, and that's who his father is. There was no sound on the video. But they're all curious, but Deku refused to answer any questions at all. And instead, he straight away leaves the hospital, still in bandages, preparing the train for UA. And that is what he does. We're going to have a time skip because I'll make these videos too long. And I'm just going to say, get ready for this. This is unbelievable. So I had to do it. But yeah. Deku trains relentlessly in the 2 months before UA. He doesn't get One for All. But he does train. And train he does. He pushes his body to the limits over and over again. But we're not going to get into this. We now go to the first day of UA. Deku's walking into school. He sees Bakugo walking ahead of him. And he's just sending daggers, like, staring at him. Bakugo is shivering and he looks at Deku, who's automatically smiling at him. Bakugo actually looks a bit scared of Deku and he speeds off. But in Bakugo's mind he's saying, just pretend you're scared, just pretend you're scared, you're gonna get him this year. And as Deku's walking, a girl actually trips in front of him. He catches her as if it was a second nature, it was just a reflex. And he easily catches her. He's using his index finger to hold her up by her collar. And he pulls her back, and she ended up pulling her with too much force, and she falls backwards this time. But he catches her like it is a princess. This is Uraka. Uraka straight away is blushing, and taps her clothes to make her float away, spinning towards UA, not even introducing herself. But Deku thinks, I've seen weirder. And he enters UA. They get the whole speech about how the robots, and they take their exam. Deku passes that exam, flying colours like the written exam. And as they're getting a speech about robots, Deku's sitting there himself meditating, but he's given off a feeling of being a predator, like the top of the chain to others, and it's making others uncomfortable. They don't know why, but they have a feeling in their chest like they're in danger. And Ida stands up in a sweat due to this presence Deku's giving off, and then Manji stops it, saying you're causing inconveniences to the other students. Before Ida can even realise Deku's moved from his seat, Deku's right behind Ida with his hand on his throat, saying, I don't tell you how you do your training, I don't tell you how you should act. I'm sitting over there not bothering anyone, just meditating. And if you have a problem with it, if you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't be in this school. Now, I want to put into perspective. Deku tightens his fingers around Deku, like the idiot's actual throat part, and says, part of my quirk is being able to be super strong. So if I wanted to right now, I could rip your throat out. But unlike someone, I'm not going to make a scene because I think I'm better than everyone else because my family are heroes or because I have money. I suggest that you sit down until you're ready to actually fight me. And when that day comes, I'll welcome you with open arms and probably a kick to the face. But until then, sit yourself down, boy. Ida, with no words left, immediately sits himself down, and everyone recognises Deku at that point to be different to them. And the teachers watching this from another room are quite impressed with Deku, as one, barely any of them will manage to keep up with his movements, and the way he was managed to scare Ida without actually hurting him. Anyway, the exam begins, and the robots are going around. Deku's easily going around, hitting the joints of the robots, the weak points, destroying them quite easily, without using any of his ability he wants to keep hidden. And I'm saying right now, Deku has about 100 points. I'm saying he's done this 20 minutes, and we're 5 minutes in, and Deku has about 100 points. He's not going over the top, as he wants to leave robots for others. But at the same time, when he sees people taking on more they can handle, like trying to fight 3 robots at once, he doesn't take their kills. He runs in and he blocks punches, and then he jumps off. This is getting him hero points as well, like without even the rescue. Like every single time he saves someone from getting like an actual hit that will hurt him, 3 hero points. And then he begins running around, destroying more and more and more robots, until they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is when he starts using a bit of his enhanced strength. And he's, instead of targeting the joints, using his martial arts. Sorry guys, it's my mum. And where was I? He actually starts using it, instead of targeting joints, he starts blasting through robots' actual body parts. This shows the teachers even more. Someone who was able to use actual martial arts to attack joints, he even had the strength stuck in behind him. That is until the 0 point robot arrives. Deku not afraid of a fight. He has an ideology, I'm never going to run away. And he starts rushing towards it while everyone else is running away. They all look at him like he's mental. And that's when he sees it. That same goal from earlier is falling over, stuck underneath rubble. Now he has no choice but to help. He speeds up and he's sprinting towards them. And I mean, he's moving like he ain't even making any sound. And he manages to get in front of her, and he grabs the rubble and picks it up like it's a piece of feather, and he chucks it towards the 0 point robot, hitting it in his face. Doesn't stop it at all, but he just thought, and then the robot lunges towards him with a massive fist. Deku takes a deep breath, and he says, in his head, oh, come on Deku, time to show him what you got. He goes into a stance, and all the teachers are actually very concerned. They're rushing out to help him. What's that kid doing? Why is he not running? And just in time, at the perfect time, Deku moves the robot's fist, using its weight against it, completely countering it. The robot loses its balance and falls towards Deku. Deku then enters a stance similar to sumo, and he launches his hand forwards, palm hitting the robot. All of a sudden, the red light on the robot's head turns off and it collapses. Deku calls this one God reversal, but he ain't gonna say that out loud. It's embarrassing for him. It was his own technique, where no matter how heavy the force, he can still count power and reverse it, and then using their own. I'm not gonna over explain it. I'll explain it in a minute. All the teachers that are this are shocked. What the hell just happened? There was no visible damage on the robot except for a small handprint of Deku's. Deku of course passes with about 400 combat points and 250 hero points, breaking UA history, like UA records and all that. And then later that day, the robot is opened up because Nezu's curious, and to their absolute shock, all the inside of the robot are completely destroyed. And the only way they can think it happened, Deku used his own weight and his own strength to send a shockwave with such intensity on such a rare wavelength, it completely destroyed the inside of the robot. A terrifying technique if used on a person. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do not, I do not care. Actually, I just had a whole lecture about that. I hope you do enjoy the video because you might not get any more. Peace out guys, bye!